welcome back to another Q&A weekly session. I'm Mark with Darkhorse Fitness. I want to thank you for clicking on the video. Please remember to click the link, like, and subscribe buttons below and post your comments and questions. Let's get started. First question comes at me is, I'm on a bulk and I can't eat any more food. What can I do? Well, we don't want to stop the gains. So this is not an uncommon question for those looking to gain weight as part of the program. Eventually, this is something that affects just about everybody when you're pushing the calories. A few things that you can do is, first, don't have any fluid about 20 minutes before, 20 minutes after, and during your meal. Just focus on the food, get it down, and then after that time frame, go ahead and have water or whatever else it is that you're drinking. What happens sometimes is, dependent upon the food, when you drink the fluid before, during, or after, it can cause it to bloat, especially if it's going to be rice or some starchy carbs. That bloat feeling is just going to make you feel uncomfortable, and you're not going to want to eat the next meal. Another thing you can do is, if you're able to, get up and go walking 5-10 minutes. Gets the digestion going. Overall, it's just going to help with the food, so it's not just sitting in your belly, and you're going to be ready for that next meal when it comes around. And the last thing I would do is to make sure you have a good prebiotic in the morning, and in instances where the food just starts to be too much, is to get a digestive enzyme. There's a lot of different places that you can get it from, either online or your local nutrition shop. Just go in there, tell them you're looking for digestive enzymes. They're definitely going to make getting that food through your system that much easier, especially again when the calories start to add up. Next question is how often should I do my 1 rep max? Bench, squat, deadlift. When I work with my strength focused athletes, as opposed to physique or power, typically we won't max out a 1 rep more than once or twice a month. Usually we will focus on different ranges, typically in the 5 to rep range, various depths, various weights. Some of the weeks are going to be focused on the mechanics and power aspects of the exercise. An example would be 60 to 65% load of the 1 rep maximum and only doing 5 or 6 reps when they can probably get 10 to 12 reps. But we focus more on the bar speed and the mechanics of the actual exercise. Constantly doing your 1 rep max has a negative effect on your gains. It doesn't help to improve it. Basically, what you start to do is you introduce an increased chance of injury, and that's not something you want to do. Also, it can lead to affecting your central nervous system, but in general, you start to have diminishing returns when you're daily or multiple times a week hitting that 1 rep max. Next question is, when should I change up my training program? A lot of people will change it up after 3, 4, 5 weeks, and their justification is it's time or simply I'm bored. I'm a firm believer that as long as you're making progress in the program that you have, that goes back to keeping a training log, you're going to be able to see, are you gaining? Are you getting closer to what your goal is? If you are, stick with it. This is why I always tell my clients that when you can look at your food in your training log, and if week after week you're progressing, then just stick with it. Your body is still not fully adapted to the program that you're on. Another reason why the weekly check-ins I have with the clients just lets me see from an aesthetic perspective, as well as looking at their training logs and meal logs, to make sure that they are progressing. Eventually, yes, some people do get bored with the program and you can look at some changes, but really what you're looking for is when the progress starts to either halt or you start to revert back numbers or less. 1 week you get 12 reps, next week you get 8 reps. Well, you're going to look at a couple different factors. It may be time for a deload. It may be simply changing the exercise. But again, as long as you're making progress in the program that you're in, I don't see a real reason to change it. But again, if you're bored with it, it could be your enthusiasm. You can take a look at changing it. It's going to be different on one person to the next. Refeed question comes next, and it is a common one. Should I have a refeed day or should I have a refeed meal? I prefer clients, including myself, to have a refeed meal, and usually it's a 1 to 2 hour window at max. This way you can control the calories. Usually what happens is when someone has a refeed day, the calories just get completely out of hand. It goes from simply adding some calories in to help dopamine levels or leptin levels to gorging and just a free for all, adding so much calories to your body you put on adipose tissue, and you could lose a week or so's time frame physically, and then mentally the next morning you look yourself in the mirror and it's just demotivating. So again, I prefer them to just pick out one meal, 1 to 2 hour window, and ideally you pick the foods that you're going to eat a couple days in advance. If you've got some cravings, it could be for a pasta, it could be for a cheesecake, whatever it's going to be. Make sure it fits within that window. It's usually extra calories in addition to whatever meal plan that you're on currently, and then after that window you're right back to the meal plan so that you can. Is L-Carnitine a good supplement for fat loss? The answer is yes, it is. It aids in the transport of long-chain fatty acids into the body, the bloodstream, specifically the mitochondria, kind of your energy nucleus, your work engine, if you will. But it also helps increase glucose uptake into the muscle, which translates over to increased muscle mass. One of the things, though, is there is a downside, and the downside is the delivery system. Taken orally, anything less than 3 to 5 grams of L-carnitine isn't really available to the body. A good 80 to 90% of it is destroyed in the digestive tract. So I know I've had some clients that when they take it that high level, they have stomach issues and they just can't do it. That's an unfortunate side effect of it. I prefer L-carnitine to be administered via intramuscular or injection or IV. This allows for 100% of it to be bioavailable to the body, and then the dosages are anywhere between 200 milligrams to 1 gram. So you can see there's a huge difference in between the dosage requirement when it's taken orally versus some other method. Another positive effect of L-carnitine is from a cognitive perspective. There's been several studies that have shown that it helps improve memory and just overall cognitive health. So it's definitely a supplement I would add to your stack. I just would look at, if it's going to be administered orally, that you're looking 3 to 5 grams before exercise. If not, you're going to look at intramuscular injection or an IV to get basically the same effects, but higher availability at a much lower dose.